Cool. So if we kick off in that sort of thinking circle that we started with Peter starting, what's been your greatest challenge that you've faced, Peter, whether you want to focus on your Qbot or the or
They're
Imperial?
all intermingled, my activities. So I, like many of us, I'm a portfolio worker. So I do activities across 3 companies. I've got 26 current projects across companies and universities. So my biggest challenge is a productivity challenge. It's getting stuff finished. And I'm finding it so frustrating in comparison to a busy studio environment or being able to see people. I'm working hard, but actually getting anything finished, because so often, as everybody around this call will know, you rely upon others to countersign or to uh, interact with for any decision. And I'm finding that instead of closing things off, everybody's working hard, but we're never finishing anything. And all I can see is an accumulation of work in progress with ever more endless, unfinished tasks. So I don't know whether that resonates with anybody around the table. And I'm used to being efficient. So I'm sharing a personal frustration there. I can be more specific if that helps, but maybe people get the general idea.
Yeah, I personally can really relate. I feel like it's stimulating my ideas. So I'm coming up with new ideas and I'm then not keeping myself accountable to completing them. It's actually a personal challenge. Being sort of dyslexic and creative in my thinking style, that's something that I'm working with somebody on to sort of bring more structure to the delivery of certain ideas and to the interrogation of which ideas I need to prioritize and which ones are not worth completing. So kind of killing ideas as you go along and reprioritizing. So I'm trying to build a bit of a system around that. I don't know if anybody else wants to share or comment on Peter's.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that, and I'm actually in the middle of writing a blog post about it. So if you're interested in reading it, I'll share it. But yeah, I think I call it one of those days. And I have one of those days pretty much every week where I am constantly just thinking, I've got this big chunky list of things to do. And I'm just like, by the end of the day, I mean, I'm working till like 12 o'clock on my laptop, still feeling like I can't do anything for myself until I literally get this list done. I mean, do I get it done? No. Do I feel good about it? No. Like, what do I do the next day? I look back at that fucking list and I'm like, okay, now, so the reason, how I've got myself out of that, and I call it like that. I have a name for it, and I call it the mindless hustle. It's just like you're constantly just doing stuff because it's like I need to be busy, because also working from home and not being in front of people, you kind of feel like you sometimes have to do more, especially as a leader, I suppose. Maybe it's just me. But one thing that I've found that really helps is just being really focused on what is the goal right now. And for us, it's really to is to bring money in, like to get some new clients on board, because at the moment our clients are not really spending, and if we don't get money in, I can't pay people. So it's like, so now I just have that as a filter. It's like, okay, this idea was this piece of to do going to get me a lead, a conversation with someone who could potentially buy something from us. Like that is just really clear. Is this going to get me to there? And that's how I basically reprioritize my big hairy to-do list.
I was going to say something with Peter's actually interesting. On the flip side for us is that a lot of our clients are property agents, and they're always running around on site viewings, always having meetings, always running around on their phones, coffee shops, whatever. And actually, it's really interesting because obviously, since this has happened, they're not running around on site, viewings and everything else. So their productivity has increased hugely, and they know that. And they're always on emails, they're on calls, they're very, very easy to get hold of. They provide all the marketing materials pretty quickly now. Used to take, 4 or 5 days because they're running around. Now it takes, 48 hours. So actually in the sort of flip side, our clients' productivity has gone up, which in turn helps us. The signing off of things I definitely can relate to. So a lot of our stuff includes sort of photography and signage, which obviously in lockdown period can't happen. But yeah, productivity is an interesting one to raise.
How is it sitting with you, Amy, in terms of the team's productivity and also yours?
Well, we are probably busier than we've ever been, and that was what I was going to say. In what we do in property management, it was quarter day, so we were collecting all of the rents at the end of March, which was really bad timing because nobody was in their offices and nobody particularly wanted to pay their rents. So it has been a lot of being on the phone, being on calls to discuss what strategies are with various landlords, and having sympathy with tenants. So it's become a lot more of a sort of hand-holding job as opposed to just following processes and procedures, and you can do it by the book, which has meant people's demands on my time have probably been a lot higher. So productivity, I have felt busier than ever, and I'm running out of time, and again coming up with all these nice ideas but not enough people to do it all. I'm very reactive. I think everybody needs these decisions quite quickly. It impacts on people's lives. It's money, and it's also how we're shutting buildings down. Are all the buildings being cleaned, but are we reducing costs for our tenants? So there's a lot of people that we're reporting into, and because everybody is slightly, it feels like in panic mode, they're all turning to us for advice, which is what we're there for. But we, haven't got time to do that on an individual basis across the board. And it's very new to us. It's very new to everybody. But we're actually having to provide advice on whether people should be going into buildings. Should our staff be going into buildings to provide security services? People that are being furloughed because they're not needed to go into these sites, do we top up their salaries? So there's a lot of morals that have come out of it, and sort of big decisions to be made which impact on both landlords and tenants. So I think the pressure on my time, things are coming all the way up the chain to me to make all those decisions, and the reactions have to be very quick. So it's felt like quick decisions, quick turnarounds, and not enough time to be doing the day job in the background. But no one could have predicted this or planned for it. So it's just making decisions as we go. So I think we're all impacted very differently, aren't we, in what our day-to-day jobs are.
Yeah. And with that, Amy, I'm just thinking about the second question, and how would you say your business or your working style, how would you say some of those things have had to adapt to support those various stakeholder needs changing?
Yeah, I think it's been a very sort of important time for me to be communicating with the wider team throughout the whole company, with the accountants, the facilities managers and our surveying team, making sure the same message is received by our tenants, by our landlords. But everything has to be judged on a case-by-case basis. So it's not as easy as flatly refusing any tenant request to not pay their rent this quarter. But at the same time, a number of our landlords have got huge mortgages and debt that they've got to feed up the chain to their banks. So it depends on everybody's personal circumstances as to how you deal with it. It's not been a straightforward one, but it has been really important that the sort of style of management, and to make sure that people receive the messages from me, and we are using a lot of Zoom calls. It's technology that we've really had to set up lots of central trackers whilst people are working from home, so everybody has access to the same information, having standard memos, procedures that have just got to be drawn up essentially overnight, so everybody understands how to deal with these requests that they've never had before. We've taken on 2 new members of staff. We've lost a couple of staff through, who were always due to leave. But it's even doing handovers and inductions to people remotely. It's all just new, isn't it? And we've got to learn on the job. I think Will was saying earlier about perhaps we talk about sort of team morale, which I think has been really important. Usually we're very close-knit, not many work from home often, so it's new to everybody. So it's implementing, we're doing a weekly Teams meeting, we have a prize draw where people win Amazon vouchers. You know, it's not huge value, but they can order something, you know, a book or whatever. It's not big cost to us, but it's quite a nice fun thing to do at the end of the week and give some prizes out that are random and everybody sort of feels appreciated. We've also started some PT sessions for the whole of the company to be able to log into twice a week, one first thing in the morning, one at lunchtime, inviting people with children to have that break at lunchtime, let the kids get involved. Understand flexible working and people all doing very different hours. Lots of people are doing sort of 2 hours on, 2 hours off, who've got to split childcare duties. Having empathy, I guess, for everybody just doing the best they can, but making sure things aren't slipping and that we are still able to report into our clients, keep them updated. And if someone, you know, has had to take time out, that someone's available to cover it. So I guess it's juggling, isn't it? And as I say, we've never been this busy. I've never known the whole team be this busy for this amount of time. So having that sympathy and understanding how we can reallocate and what we can drop as well. You know, we're doing a whole rebrand at the moment, and we're probably the opposite. We're not responding to our website designers because we are just too busy to do it. So we haven't stopped the project. It's just, you know, we just have to drop things that aren't urgent right now and deal with our tenants and deal with our clients and just sort of keep pedaling through.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
thanks, Amy. I was making lots of notes there, lots of helpful ideas and things that you're doing with the team. And who would like to share next in terms of how people are managing with the adaptation and what they've maybe done to support the people's needs around them and also their own needs?
Yeah, I can talk. I mean, in terms of sort of team morale with us, yeah, we're a sort of great supporter of Fitwell, which is all about making the workspaces work for people. And we recognise that an office is more than a place of work. And you know, humans are social animals, and emotionally it's difficult to replicate that without the sort of. Actually, funny enough, we're having a feedback this morning with the creative director, the account director, myself, designer, and it's virtually it is quite difficult because if we're all in front of each other around the table, we'd all be scribbling around, and Ellie would be, you know, da-da-da-da, and I'd be, and it would all, and you know, it would work well, and virtually that, you know, it doesn't sort of have the same effect, which is quite isolating. And you know, the essential sort of, you know, did you watch latest series of Killing Eve? Water cooler conversation has also gone out the window. We are trying to sort of keep that up. We have a 9:30 Slack call with the whole team every morning, which we go through kind of what's been going on in the world, and you know, how much of a legend Captain Tom is, and you know, happy birthday to the Queen today, and all that sort of stuff. And then any kind of AOB, and then we go through the work plan of what everyone's got on that day. And I think that is quite helpful that things are raised. It's also a way of kind of everyone channeling in to sort of start their day. And then every Friday at 4 we have drinks and a quiz, which normally lasts an hour and a half. Really good fun, all sorts of different questions. We've got a whole range of ages in the team, so that's always quite amusing. And actually that really kind of, you know, wags the tails and keeps everyone smiling. But yeah, team morale is definitely a challenge. And I suppose then it's all about calling the team members constant, you know, one-on-ones and just seeing how it's doing. We got a couple of one of the, you know, team members lives on her own in a flat. You know, it is difficult. You know, she's back in the office. Another, you know, doesn't have a balcony and is sort of, you know, having highs and lows, and is meant to be getting married in August. So it's just, you know, calling in and just checking in, and we're all sort of, you know, we all want human interaction, and it's not face to face. That is difficult. We're just trying to sort of do the best we can, I suppose, in these times. And so far, everyone, the team morale does seem to be high. But yeah, it's probably 20% of my day is keeping going around calling everyone and seeing how they're doing. But that's absolutely vital and key. And I suppose before that, I was only in the office on a Monday, really. Otherwise, I was running around at meetings and everything else. So it's, as Amy said, we didn't know these things were coming over the hill, but it's completely changed. We did have a working from home policy once a week, which designers and everyone did use. But again, that was sort of picking up the brief on the night before, or talking to the studio manager, and then doing a day's work at home, and then coming back. Obviously, 5 weeks of that is a little bit different. The servers have generally been behaving themselves, but we had a security update which decided to crash all vital programs for the first 2 hours of one morning. So that was pretty eventful. But other than that, we've been quite lucky with the IT, because I suppose we had that policy in place already. So I think the sort of constant calls and communication, really, in terms of sort of keeping the morale up. But it's not easy for anyone.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I know, Peter, you've been doing a lot of adaptation around supporting students. A lot of your programming had to go on virtually, and that was early on in the lockdown. I wonder if you want to share about that adaptation, or indeed others that you've been working on.
So yes, I guess at Imperial, you've probably seen Imperial's been in the news regularly. So maybe we had a couple of weeks extra warning, but about 2 weeks or 3 weeks before lockdown, we started moving everything online. So about a week before lockdown, all teaching for all 18,000 students, all supervision and all team interactions had gone online and remote. And so it was very quick, but I won't say that the quality was there. And I suppose our challenge going forward will be to upgrade the quality. I have a MOOC at the moment, a massive online open course, not for Imperial, but on the Coursera and edX platforms. And that has about 30,000 students or professionals taking it. And there's a lot of engagement in these online courses. So we do know how to do a quality job when we put the effort in. And on the MOOCs, we did, because they were done over several months or 8 months in preparation. But the rush job, the quality, I suspect, is not there. And so you will lose people. And in order to try and mitigate against that, just like Will was saying just now, and I think Amy as well, endless Teams meetings, tutorials, group meetings. And I think Amanda was saying working till very late in order just to fit everything in. So we think we're quite good at online provision, but in order to make sure that you don't lose people, one seems to need to do this extra layer of informal communication like this. I mean, I would say this is good practice, and that's why I was so keen to join and just to hear the good advice from people.
I think it is that sort of that personalisation, that detail that I suppose that we've all been picking up on, in terms of being able to understand the nuances of people's different needs and to be able to support them where they are, so that you can create that sort of loyal bond where they feel they can trust you, and that, yes, the quality will be improving virtually, but in the meanwhile that you're there to support those students' needs. Of course, with 30,000 or 18,000 students, that would be challenging to do one-to-ones, but maybe there are ways in which you can host these sorts of virtual sessions where people can share their needs, and you can share back with them what you're doing to support those needs, so that they feel they've got that clarity and consistency of communication.
you're quite right. With the 30,000, I'm just doing more regular newsletters, more regular webinars, the one-to-ones. Not so easy. I mean, of course, there might just be sort of 50 to 100 emails on that platform a day. So one might be able to do a Herculean effort and respond. Whether it would be wise is another matter.
That's a fair point. Amanda, how are you kind of adapting, would you say, to maybe your clients' needs? And are you doing anything in particular around how you're supporting them during the virus?
Yeah, so clients specifically, we've just been trying to have regular conversations with them and just stay connected. That looks like things like check-ins, daily check-ins on Slack. Just how are you feeling? I leave voice notes actually on WhatsApp because I'm really bad with Slack sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. People get Slack read, I have to zone out, and if I'm in the deep thinking state of zoning out, like I'll just turn off all distractions on my computer. So when I have a little bit of time, which is normally around lunch, I will regularly leave little voice notes, which are like little personal podcasts, which tend to go down quite well, and voicemail as well. I've been leaving voicemails to people who I have like met at events, or have been in my pipeline for a little while, who I've just kept conversations flowing with, just to see how they are and just to check in. I think and to be totally honest and transparent, like at the moment we all of our clients but one have stopped spending, so we're in terms of like challenges, we're in a really difficult situation. Before this call, again, I'm cool with being very honest about where we are at the moment. We got 1 month until things are we're going to have to make some really difficult decisions, but I'm very positive that we're going to get through this, and like everybody on this call has said, there are some huge positives that are out of this. For example, we are a young company, on paper 1 year old, and we've I don't know if you guys can relate to this, I'm sure you can, but when you're at the beginning of your business, you kind of do just run, and it's all a bit messy, and it's just like, we just need to get off the ground and get those first few clients and just prove that we can do this. And then you get to that stage, like, oh shit, yeah, we're getting there, and we actually feel like we can do this now, like amazing. And what this time has given us is time to take a step back, look at how are we showing up as a brand, how are we communicating our brand, are we consistent, are we living up to our values, are we living inside our stories, some of those really big questions. But also on the other side of that, we've actually really looked at our processes, how we work together as a team, to look at workflow. And we use Airtable now, which is just a dream. Oh my god, it's a dream. Just to check in and have that like what you were saying, Will, like you have a 9:30 call in the morning with the team. We have a 10 o'clock call with the team, just to go through Airtable. Like, okay, Louisa, you're on this, cool. Amanda, do you need Amanda's time yet? Cool, that in Amanda's diary. Like, and it's just really productive in terms of what is everybody working on, not on a micromanaging kind of level, because I know that can piss people off, because it pissed me off. But that's been a challenge as well. How do you balance managing versus micromanaging, and where is the line? Big challenge. But that's really helped, just to have that call, just to let's look at the same screen, look at the same thing, and just have a chat and go through, okay, what's everybody working on? Is that getting us towards the goal, the big focus right now, which is we need leads, we need to convert, we need to get new clients in the door, or get something, whether it's our normal sort of ticket for a job is between 15 to 50k. At the moment we're just like just something, just something. We're creative. I know I didn't mention this before, but we're an agency, creative agency. We work specifically with startup scale-up companies who obviously, we all know at the moment are not getting a lot of investment at the moment. However, they've just been, yesterday it came out that funding, so which is amazing. But obviously right now, who's spending? I'm being very keen to hear how you're doing it, Will, just from an agency to agency like owner. How are you? You mentioned at the beginning of the call, you're you know, you're making sales, you're getting business in the door. I'm really struggling, I'm not going to lie. And I knew, but I've also realised that I am not a very good closer. I never have been. I'm a very good warmer. I'm a very good emotional person. I talk on a very emotional level. Whereas we've just hired a really good closing guy, who is our new starter. He's been with us for 1 month, and we've been obviously onboarding him throughout this time, which has been another challenge, which I could talk for ages about this stuff, but I know that we're on a clock, so I'm gonna stop right there.
I regularly do that. Will, do you want to chip in response to that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which industry you focus on, or I mean, you mentioned the startups. Is that just a broad range of startups and scaled up businesses?
Tech mainly. So we specialise in tech, so fintech, fast tech, anything. So tech, sort of fast-growing tech startup companies. So they've all raised typically a Series A.
Right.
So that we do work with some smaller ones, but obviously we don't work with many, because if we did.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, I spoke, yeah, because I as I was saying, we focus on the property sector.
Yeah, that's cool.
For that reason, I think because people, again, agents and asset managers and fund managers have had having this time to look forward. A lot of them are concentrating on the brand and marketing of their properties to come out the other side with material ready, both in investment actually, as well as mainly it's mainly office leasing throughout the country. And then we've got a couple of projects that we're working on the actual marketing material for the company itself. And obviously we've had quite a lot of, as Amy mentioned, sort of websites being put on hold for now, and delays for big projects to start when we're 3 months time. But we're finding quite a lot of I suppose agents now, they're not doing site visits and things, they're concentrating on their pipeline, what's coming out in 3 months time, and therefore, right, we need to be focusing on the brand and marketing now to have everything ready. Of course, we are wanting to do as many virtual tours as we can, but we did do a few, and then obviously the lockdown came. So once that's raised slightly, we've got a sister company who we use it for all the virtual tours, so that's going to be huge in terms of selling virtually through the likes of digital marketing is going to become absolutely key in the property market. So yeah, I think from our side, it's the property market has actually, it's a slow moving industry. I mean, not so, compared to tech, it's quite slow moving. The property is going to be ready in, was going to be ready in 3 months, is now going to be ready in 5 months. Let's look at the marketing now, and that's how we've been winning the projects, really. So actually, property has been actually quite advantageous to us with regards to the pace, and obviously the construction sites being closed is having an effect, but hopefully that will be getting back in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I suppose it's the property market where we've been winning most of our work, rather than company specific.
I guess just on the back of Will, what you've said there, it's the timing, isn't it? If leases are expiring in the next couple of months, landlords are going to be left with a void. They have got to spend that money on the marketing. So with Amanda, your clients are probably slightly different, and they'll just push costs down the road, won't they? So they'll say, well, we'll look at that again in 3 months or 6 months. Whereas Will's clients, they will have an empty building, so they're going to put it on the market. Whether they find a tenant or not, they'll still need that marketing material.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing where with agencies, it's where you have a focus on a certain industry, and where that can really help you during times like this. And yeah, you're right, because we're focused on these startups. A lot of them are even just bringing it in-house now, which I wouldn't blame them. Like if I was a CEO of some of these companies, I'd do the bloody same. Of course you would. You'd do anything to make sure your runway is stretched out for as long as possible, because who knows what's going to happen over the next few months or the rest of the year. So yeah, it's challenging, but to be honest, I have actually just had a message pop up now, like, how cool is this that we've just won a little bit of work. So so it is trickling in. which is good.
Celebrate small wins.
In this market, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's just really important, like everybody was saying here, just to make sure that you know, that to keep team morale up and keep looking at the positives of now, because it's really easy to get sucked into that negativity energy. And even, you know, Amy, like what you were saying with your partner sort of there as well, I have challenges with my fiance, and I mean, he walked when we first did this work from home, he walked behind with his butt naked going into the shower, and my co-founder like had a lovely image on the screen. It's just like, what? it was bloody funny.
As my mum says, a husband's for life, not for lunch. So it's quite an interesting Ali having breakfast, lunch and dinner with me every day, which is yeah.
It's really
I'm quite enjoying it. Really enjoying it.
It's lovely. It's and quality time. And I remember, like, you know, I live in Wokingham, so commuting to London every day. I used to get home, leave the house at like 6:30, get in at 9, feel like I can't go to the gym, I can't go for a run, I can't eat with my other half dinner. I have dinner at City o'clock, and now we have lunch, not breakfast because he's never up on time, but we have lunch, dinner, and you know, it's amazing. So it's good. So it's all about making the most of now and preparing and getting ready for.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a final offer from me, I want to say that if any of you want to have a phone call and use the time as sort of creative friction to kind of brainstorm ideas, I'm happy to run like a little coaching session, just one-on-one, just to help with idea creation, if that is something that's of use. Possibly, Amanda, if you're looking at other industries, even short term, to see where there is money and where you can support other organizations that aren't necessarily in that immediate fintech space or fast tech startups, that could be a possible option. I know with Peter, you've got lots of ideas and lots of projects on, so you don't need more ideas. But if you ever want to do a prioritization session, happy to help. And Will and Amy, I can hear that you're very busy. If you do want to just talk about it, or, you know, get a little bit of space from the immediacy of some of that stuff, just to mull something over, I want you to know that I'm here to support you. And for Flux, it's a challenging time too. We've had a few projects and things cancelled, a few sort of keynote speaker things that I was looking forward to. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm using my time effectively. Certainly not really making much money, but I'm in a position where that isn't so much of a problem right now. So I can use my time and try and share my capacity. And I hope, you know, down the line people might want to do some work together, but, you know, there's no guarantees there, and that's also fine. So just know that I really genuinely kind of care about all of you and what you're working on, and want to be there to support you, as well as, you know, if you want to stay connected to each other or reach out to each other after this. And obviously I can do any support with introductions, but I think you'll have each other's emails because you were on the invitation together. So yeah. I don't know if anybody has any final closing comments. I'll share the summary and the takeaways that I got from all your inspirational words.
I always find it quite interesting. I was going to ask 2 questions just to everyone, just because I love when everyone thinks we'll be back in the office as companies, and when do you think you're going to be on the next flight? My wife argued on the second one, so I always find it quite interesting on the answer.
Who's going to go first?
I know I've been wondering whether we will ever go back to the office, and I suspect a lot of us won't want to. And if anybody cares for the environment, they won't be booking a aviation fuel flight. So we're enjoying the clean air. So it's challenging. So Will, you ask good questions. And I think for many people it will be never, but I do look forward to the day when society connects in social ways and perhaps a better society.
Yeah.
My follow-on call after this, in 2 minutes' time, is with the revamped Labour Party, and they're all interested in the restart and trying to figure themselves out anew. So downtime can be a fascinating time for vested interest groups like the whatever the Labour Party is now. So there are many people plotting for the restart.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are. See, I'm craving my office. I'm going to slightly go against what you said, Peter, but probably because I work in the real estate sector as well, and don't want everybody to be working from home. We've got 45 in the office, and I have to say we are less efficient being at home. It's much easier when we are all together, I know there's been a lot in the press saying office demand's going to drop and things like that you've probably seen. Will, I can see potentially people needing 10 to 20% less space, but due to social distancing, is that then going to be taken back up because we're all going to need more space within our offices? I don't know, we'll sort of watch this space, but certainly we will be back in the offices soon as we can be, and the likelihood, my guess is that people are likely to start going back in a month. I'm hopeful anyway. I imagine it'll be phased. The youngsters will be allowed back first, and it won't be everybody, but the economy's got to be restarted in some way, and I do think people, once schools are back, they'll gradually start letting us back in the office.
Yeah.
Flights probably not this year.
There are some interesting articles going around of, is the office dead and all this thing. We probably share the same view, being in that environment.
I think office, well, we don't have an office at the moment. So we obviously, to cut our overheads right down, we terminated that when we knew that the lockdown was coming, so thank God for that.
You're in a service office, or?
We were in a shared office with 2 other agencies.
Okay,
Right by bank, right next to the Tate Museum. It's beautiful. I really want to sort of go back.
We're in Borough, so not far.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, it's really nice. So I love being by the river. But I mean, we need to get a new office, and I agree with Amy. I feel like I just can't wait to be back with my team and just just hang out and go for lunches and actually do that stuff again. I mean, when it happens, it will happen. I'm not putting a time on it. It's just, let's just go with the flow, and when it feels right and it feels good, do that. Travel on a plane. I mean, I'm meant to be getting married next year, not abroad, but hen party plans, all that kind of stuff, whatever. I'm really enjoying the clean air. I'm really enjoying how incredible the world is healing, and it's lovely to experience and be a part of. So I don't know when I'm going to be back on a plane, and I'm not in any rush. Whatever, when it happens, it happens.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Shall I offer my thoughts? I'm hopeful that we'll be back working in office spaces by September. I'm not going too early in terms of timings because I personally don't need to, so I'll be going back to more of a co-working space, but I would like to be back in there for a couple of days a week in September, if I can, and in the meanwhile enjoy being in the countryside and having a mill pond to have my lunch beside. But I know I'm very privileged. And flight wise, I think next year certainly. I wouldn't say this year that I'll be taking flight, but I can imagine people will take sort of winter sun holidays maybe, if they can. But
I Google that regularly.
Do you?
I'm
I was meant to be in Malta to do a keynote, like you were saying, Lucy, and still can't get hold of the bloody buggers.
Malta?
Huh?
You say Malta?
Yeah, I was meant to go to Malta to do
I got married. That's where I got married.
Is it? I love Malta. It's mine and Ryan's first holiday abroad. It's such a lovely place.
Really?
You go to Gozo.
I love Gozo, yeah. No, my mother-in-law lives out there in half the year, so I go to Malta a lot.
Oh, amazing.
It's awesome.
Oh, I love it. I was meant to be taking my mum and a gutted because we haven't done our mother and daughter holiday like ever because my nan always wants to come along, which I love my nan, she can come. But it was like our first mother and daughter holiday and it got cancelled. We were like, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it was only like a 5-day trip, but we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen at some point.
Yeah,
It will be coming back.
Yeah.
we will.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I know it didn't necessarily have major outputs for all of you, but hopefully just a space to get together, and I'll share the summary, and because I heard lots of great ideas. So yeah,
That's great.
so much.
Really
Thank you, Lucy.
No, thanks for arranging it. It was really great to talk and hear everyone's thoughts, and yeah, not feel so lonely.
Yeah, good. We're all in this together.
Yeah,
Together. Yeah.
Take
Thank you.
care, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.